Blog Talk Radio.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and welcome to another week's show. And it's already two-thirds almost through the month of June. It's hard to believe another month is sailing by, but here we are. We're fast approaching the July 4th long weekend here in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, last weekend, of course, was the U.S. Open, and I must be the first to admit that I didn't get a chance to see all that much of it. I was actually on a short holiday and just didn't get a chance to tune in as much as I would like. So unfortunately, I missed most of it, but I heard it was pretty exciting. I did catch some of the highlights, so I didn't, I guess, miss it completely. But got a great show for you tonight. I'm going to give the Coach's Corner panel again a break tonight, and I've got two great guests coming up. The first one is going to be joining me here in just a little bit, and his name is Dan Swamley, and he's the head professional over at the Perdido Bay and Golf Club out in Pensacola, and he'll be coming on here in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, let me remind everybody that, of course, we are live every Thursday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time here on blogtalkradio.com, and really very simple to find me is just go to blogtalkradio.com, and you can either type in Golf Talk Live up in the search key, or you can just add onto blogtalkradio.com a little / and type in Golf Talk Live, and it'll take you right to the link. And you can check out whatever current shows are on, or you can scroll through a little bit further down on the on-demand section and see and tune in some of the previously recorded broadcast. But either way, you can do that. And again, that's every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget, during the live broadcast on Thursdays, you can speak to me here. You can call in at area code 646-716-4667. Or if you want, you can email me any questions or comments you might have about the program to my email address, and that is ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. That's ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And if you're somebody in the golf business, whether you're a teacher professional or just somebody in the business, and maybe you're interested in sharing what it is that you do on the program, I'm always looking for new and interesting guests. And you can do that by emailing me your contact information, and I'll certainly reach out to you as quickly as I can. If you want to get updates on the show through social media, you can do so by checking it out on Facebook at facebook.com/Golf Talk Live blog. Make sure that you put the blog on the end there, and make sure while you're visiting the page and checking out some of the updates of shows that are coming up, that you throw a few likes my way as well, and pass that around and get some of your golfing enthusiast friends to throw some likes as well. I certainly appreciate that. And those of you that are following on Twitter, appreciate that as well, and thank you for all the new followers. My Twitter handle, of course, is Ted and Buck CEO. That's TEDANDBUCK, and then capital CEO. Ted and Buck CEO is my Twitter handle. Make sure that you follow me on Twitter as well. I'll also give the updates there. I don't do a lot of tweets, of course. I'm not a big Twitter person, but certainly I know that the value of that social media and keeping things like the show updated and so forth is very important. So I do go on there, and I will certainly answer somebody if they send me a direct tweet. I'll certainly try my best to respond. But anyways, make sure you follow me on Twitter as well. And also, if you're on Facebook and you want to connect with me personally, I'll spell my last name for you because it's a little hard for some. But my first name, of course, is Ted, and my last name is spelled Odorico. And if you're somebody that's been tuning into the program and you appreciate what it is that I'm doing here, I'd certainly love to connect with you on Facebook as well, and you don't necessarily have to be in the golf business. It's maybe somebody that's interested in golf, or you just want to connect with me. You can do that. Just send me a friend request, and I'll certainly add you among my growing list. And don't forget to, for those of you that want to check out the Golf Talk Live website blog, you can do that by visiting www.golftalkliveblog.com, and on there you will find some of the guests that have been on the program, some of the sponsors that have been helping to promote the show and throwing their support, like my good friend Jonathan Laird of South Coast Golf Guide, who you've heard me talk about in great length over the last year or so. Great guys like him are on there as well, and how you can get a hold of a copy of the guide and the website. And also some of the guests that have come on that have brought products and or books. You can check under the book tab or under the product tab, and you can see and get a direct link there as well if you're interested in purchasing some of the products or interested in getting more information on getting your hot little hands on some of the books that have been on the program here over the last year. Still adding more on there, of course, but the ones that are on there so far, you can certainly get the information there, and maybe that might make a great gift coming up for somebody's birthday for that golf enthusiast out there. But as I said, we're taking a break this week from Coach's Corner. Just, in the summer, obviously, I realize that a lot of the coaches that are coming on here, a lot of the PGA and LPGA professionals that have been on the program are very, very busy during the summer months. This is, of course, peak season. So I'm trying to be, flexible, and obviously I decided that we would give it a break since we didn't have enough for this week anyways, and try and be back here. I think we're going to be back next week with a full panel. So make sure you tune in. It's a lot of fun. I know that the coaches have enjoyed having some of the email questions that have come in. And please, by all means, keep those coming. And if you want to send your questions in to the Coach's Corner panel, you can do so at questions.golftalklive@gmail.com. That's questions.golftalklive@gmail.com. Send them in. Let me know who you are and where you're from, and I'll read them out, of course, on the air as I do every week to the panel. And we'll try and help you weekend warriors out there improve your game a little bit. And I hope that you've enjoyed some of the panel discussion that we've had here. We've started actually back in March of this year, and had some great coaches. I try to have a different group on every week. Of course, some like to come back as repeat offenders, like Clint Wright, of course, from Pendleton, South Carolina, my good friend. He likes to come on here and gets a little ribbing once in a while for me, but that's okay. Clint's a big guy and can certainly take it, and a great professional. And a lot of other great professionals that have come on the program as well, and I certainly feel very blessed and honored to be among them, and to have them come on and add some great content and some great insight on the program. So thanks, guys and gals, for coming on and pitching in for Coach's Corner. And as I said, we'll be back next week with another great round. But again, don't forget, we're live right now on Blog Talk Radio from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 7 to 9 for you on the East Coast. And on Mountain, I'm not sure, but I think it's 2 hours behind. So that would be, I think, 4 p.m. Mountain Time. But anyways, as I said, you can follow me on Facebook at Golf Talk Live Blog and throw a like while you're there, or you can also connect with me on Twitter at Ted and Buck CEO, and don't forget to check out the website at www.golftalkliveblog.com. You guys might remember about a week or so ago, I had my good buddy Jonathan Laird from South Coast Golf Guide on here, and we talked about a new segment that I was going to be bringing on to the show. Basically, what we were going to do is I'm going to do a course review, if you will. I'm going to bring a guest on every week, every third Thursday, starting tonight. Every third Thursday of the month, I'll feature a new course from down here in the southeastern part of the United States. Of course, some of the best golf anywhere in the world. These courses, and resorts are featured in the South Coast Golf Guide, which is available in most of the pro shops and a lot of the courses down here from Mississippi right over through to Tallahassee and beyond, and also in some of the bigger condos. And you can also get your hot little hands on a copy if you want. You can contact Jonathan Laird through his website at www.southcoastgolfguide.com. That's www.southcoastgolfguide.com. And as I said, I'm going to be joined by a gentleman here in just a few short minutes. He's one of the featured professionals and courses in Jonathan's guide. And you can certainly check that out as well. I'm going to talk to, his name is Dan Swamley. He's going to be joining me here. He's the head professional from Perdido Bay Golf Club, which is located just on the west side of Pensacola, Florida. And, of course, he's a 4-time state high school qualifier from 2000-2004, and also University of South Alabama golfer from 2004 to 2008. And he's played about 12 years of competitive golf, and for the last 5 years he's been teaching at Perdido Bay Golf Club out in Pensacola. So he's going to be joining me here in just a few moments. And but I thought I would read that out. And a little bit later in the program, of course, another golf professional and author of Murder on the Front Nine, Stephen McMillen, is going to be joining me here on Golf Talk Live to talk about his book. And I must confess, I get so many books, and I'm reading through a bunch of them at once here, so I haven't had a chance to read the complete book. But so far, it's definitely a great read, and I strongly suggest. And we'll talk about that, of course, when Stephen comes on a little bit later. But in the meantime, just sit back and relax, and I'm going to share a couple of things that I want. First off, let me just back up here for a second. On our Tuesday morning show, Women of Golf, of course, hosted by LPGA professional Cindy Miller and myself, we ran into some technical difficulties. Of course, this broadcast airs live online every week and over the internet and around the world. And unfortunately, we ran into some technical difficulties right at the last minute when we were about ready to go on the show. And I've had some very inclement weather coming through the area, and I think that may have been the culprit. But needless to say, we had to cancel the show last minute, but we're going to be bringing that in next Tuesday, and that's going to be part 6 of a great show called Own Your Game that Cindy Miller has done, and we're actually getting into part 2 of the head game, talking a little bit about that. So that's going to be coming up this Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Women of Golf, and that's also on the Blog Talk Radio .com network. So make sure you check that out. We'll be rebroadcasting that live this coming Tuesday. Excuse me, pardon me while I get a little water here. And as I said, every Thursday at 6 p.m. is my regular Golf Talk Live show, which you're listening to right now, of course. And always enjoy doing these shows. And as I said many, many times, one of the reasons that I wanted to bring this sort of broadcast to life is certainly a lot of great broadcasters out there. I don't pretend to be the best out there, but I think I do a pretty good job. I've certainly held my own here in this last little while that I've been doing it. But one of the reasons why I want to do it is I just felt that there are so many great people in the golf business out there that really need an opportunity to have a voice, many of them doing great things on their own, and wanted to bring them to a forum, if you will. A lot of them I've met through social media. Some I've known personally over the years, but majority of them I've met through different social media and in the golf business here. And I wanted to bring them on a program where we could share and exchange some thoughts and ideas to help you guys out there become better. A lot of people, of course, and I can certainly attest as a teaching professional, there's a lot of people out there very frustrated with their games, wanting to become better, and there's a lot of great information out there, but there is a lot of information to absorb, and I think sometimes people just get a little bit too much information overload, and ultimately it ends up affecting their game. So sometimes I think it's best if you keep it simple, like the old saying, the old KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. I don't like to always use that phrase, of course, when I'm speaking to a student, but that's basically the gist of it is you want to keep it as simple as possible. And certainly the technology, I'm not opposed to any technology. I think there's a lot of great stuff out there on the market. But be careful. Make sure that you don't get too wrapped up in the technology, not just the students, but also the golf pros out there as well. I know that a lot of you work very hard in business, and you want to give the best available information to your students, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just make sure that you don't overload the students with too much technology and so forth, that they forget the basic fundamentals of how to play this great game. And it is a great game. I've been playing it since I was about 7 years old. Actually, I started a little before that, but basically about 7. Pardon me while I swallow a little bit more water here. Forgive me, but my throat's been a little bit dry here for the last couple of hours. I've been out in this humidity, and it's for most of the day, and for some reason it's all creeping up on me right now. But I played this game for quite many years, and I've had the pleasure of playing with some great people. And one of the things I've always enjoyed, I do a lot of different corporate lessons, and what I mean by that is a lot of different corporate types. I've done that for years. Certainly teach the public at large, but primarily have worked a great deal through business and through the corporate world, if you will, and always enjoyed doing that. But one of the things I always try to emphasize to my students is that to keep it as simple and basic as possible, and don't get too much information coming in at once. And number one thing, get out and practice. If you're not going to practice, you're not going to be a better golfer. It's simple as that. I don't care what technology is put in front of you. If you don't learn to use the information that you're taught, then you're not going to become a better golfer. You need to get out and practice and use some of the lessons that you've been taught, and I guarantee you'll be a better golfer. Anyways, my guest is ready here in the wings, so let me bring on Dan. Good evening, Dan.
Hey,
welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm doing very well.
Thank you.
I've already done the intro and told everybody who to expect, so they've got all that good information. Dan, I thought probably the best way to start this is just to let you talk to the audience, if you will, and tell them a little bit about who you are and how you got started in the golf business.
Okay. I just started playing. My grandpa taught me when I was real young, just tagging along with him, and it just kind of hooked me right then and there, I guess, as a junior golfer. And I grew up and I played high school golf, and I did pretty good. Made it to state in Iowa, which may or may not be that difficult, but for me it was an achievement. And then I got the opportunity to go to South Alabama and play for Ben Hannon, who's also an Iowa golfer and still the coach there for South Alabama. And so that was just furthered my interest in the game, and I got done there, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do next, whether it was, I knew I wanted to do something in sports. I didn't necessarily want to become a golf professional, but I just happened to get the opportunity to come to Perdido Bay Golf Club, and I've just kind of worked my way up and been here ever since for the last 5 years.
Yeah, you've been there for 5 years, and I know you know from your resume, if you will, you've played some competitive golf and played both at the high school and also University of South Alabama. Tell us a little bit. One of the reasons why, Dan, I wanted to bring you on the program is, as you're aware of, you're in the South Coast Golf publication that Jonathan Laird puts out every quarter, actually. And one of the reasons I wanted to do that is there's so many great courses and programs here in the Southeast that I wanted to create a segment on the show, if you will, and share with my audience just some of the great places. And you're the first one up. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Perdido Bay, where it's located first off, and then just tell us a little bit about it. And then I've got a couple of questions I want to ask you just to sort of.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, we've been in the Golf Guide now for a few years, and Jonathan does a great job on helping us with our marketing and advertising. But Perdido Bay, we're located on the west side of Pensacola, which is about 30 minutes from Gulf Shores, Alabama, which is a pretty big tourist destination in the summertime. And a lot of great golf courses in Gulf Shores, probably Peninsula and a bunch of golf courses over there that are just top class, and we're about a 30-minute drive, but we're same thing, top class golf course, just a little bit off the beaten road, but again, real close to the beach, so that's always a good thing for us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I wanted to ask, I've got a couple of questions here that I wanted to ask you, and what kind of experience can the average golfer, and I'm talking about some of the higher handicappers, can expect to play when they come to Perdido?
Well, the good thing about our golf course is that it can be very challenging from the back tees. We have 5 sets of tee boxes. It's tipped out. It's a little over 7,000 yards, and then the men's tees are more reasonable, 6,500 yards, and then our average golfer that we recommend the PGA Tee It Up Forward program to play the white tees, and that's about 6,000 yards. We've got some water hazards, typical Florida golf course on about 13 or 14 holes, but the good part about the course and the thing we hear all the time is that it doesn't play daunting. A lot of the water hazards parallel the fairways, really wide fairways, and there's not a lot of forced carries on the golf course.
Right. Now, if I was a more experienced golfer, can I expect some challenges along the way to take me down a notch or two?
Oh yeah, for sure. Back in Perdido Bay's heyday, back in the late 70s, early 80s, the golf course was a little different, a lot more trees. We've had some hurricanes here and there, and some ownership changes, but we used to host the Pensacola Open for 10 years. And during that time, number 10 and number 18, for almost every year that the event was here, were among the top 5 hardest holes played on tour. So, yeah, number 10 it's a par 4. I'd say that's probably our hardest hole out here. You have to tee off with a 3-wood or maybe a little bunt driver to get it out there. There's water that comes into play, and then your next shot is
right.
water all up the left with a long iron. So it's a great hole.
Right, and so there's definitely something there to challenge some of the better, the lower golfers out there as well. So it's not just for your average golfer, but those that want to test their game, they're certainly going to find a game at Perdido, correct?
Definitely, yes. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, I understand also, too, that you run a pretty successful junior program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, over the course of the past couple of years, we've started a few new things, and we've sprinkled them in with the old things that have been successful. But currently, this week, we're doing our junior clinics, which are in the morning time. We generally have anywhere from 8 to 10 kids from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and we do them in two groups. We do the younger kids first for an hour, 9 to 10, and then we do the older kids from 10:30 to 12. And the real goal there is that's our beginner setup. We're trying to get the basics, the fundamentals, and emphasis on fun, definitely. And right now it's been so hot, keeping them hydrated. And then we added over the last 2 years, we added the PGA Junior League, which is just an absolute great program that we've put together. It's basically we get 10 kids or 10 to 12 kids from our golf course, and we get them jerseys, and we have a practice every week. And then we take them to 4 other golf courses that are participating, Tiger Point Golf Course and just a couple of the other Pensacola courses, and we play a match. And what's unique about this program is the kids, they're playing best shot with another kid, so they have a partner. So even if they don't hit a great shot, their partner can come, loosen the slack, and they have a lot of fun, and it's a great program.
Well, and I think, I'm sure you'd probably agree that obviously, the game needs to continue to expand, and the best way to do that is to get more youngsters, more of the juniors out here playing. And, there's a lot of great programs out there all over the country, of course, and everybody's sort of doing their part. But if you wanted to sort of create the perfect scenario, and I'm not talking at a collegiate level, I'm talking at a younger, even below high school, what type of scenario would you envision just to help get golf back into the schools a little bit more?
Well, I think it's really going to take a lot of work from. It's going to take a lot of work from the PGA as far as the PGA golf professionals, and there's some really good people out there that are trying to do just that. They're taking the role almost as PE teachers, and they're going that way, but there's definitely not enough of them. So golf, being an expensive sport, it's hard for schools to invest in the equipment and then the safety hazards in order for them to do it themselves. So it almost does need to be, factored out to the golf professionals coming in and doing it for them. If we're going to grow golf like we need to do it, I definitely think, that's something that needs to happen more often.
Well, I think that, obviously, especially down here in the Southeast, football is the big program down here, and that really drives a lot of the other sports. I think anybody that follows sports here in the South knows that the SEC really drives the other sports teams in the different schools. If it wasn't for the football programs, And I think it is difficult for the schools to, to do that, to offer. Some of them, of course, I know LSU and some of the other ones do have golf programs at the collegiate level. But it is difficult at the school level, and I agree with you. I think that we need to get, and I think one of the ways is maybe having, maybe once a month or a couple times a month, have a day, just to start with, maybe have a day where local schools can be invited out to to different courses, and just sort of be exposed to it. And I think even with that alone, would hopefully generate some interest, because as I'm sure you're aware, if you listen to any of the news and things like that, golf has certainly been on a bit of a decline, partially because of the recession, of course, but just that it's become even more expensive to some, and it's a type of sport that needs to make some changes. I know the PGA is doing a lot, but it can't move fast enough, I know, for some. But what do you think about doing something like that? Maybe, or maybe Perdido's already doing something where, maybe contacting some of the local schools and offering a program where they can come out for, say, an hour or so or 2 hours sometime during the month. What about something like that?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. It gives it takes the commitment off the the shoulders of the school systems and puts it right on the PGA's professional, or in our case, right on my shoulders, and I can facilitate that kind of learning. I guess, to be honest, I think you're exactly right. That's the hardest part is golf's on the back burner right now, and it's not important for people with the recession and with everything that's going on. But the biggest thing that I see here is in the we're right by a military base, and we also get a lot of retirees in this area. And you'll see tons of people that come to me for lessons. I just retired. My buddies play golf. I don't know how to play golf. I want to learn how to play golf. And people pick up the game when they pick it up when they're retired. They fall in love with it, and I couldn't, if I had a nickel for every time somebody told me, I wish I would have started this when I was younger. And that's, to me, what we need to get back to. We need to figure out a way to get these kids into it, so not necessarily so that they're going to be at the golf course every day now, or when they're 20, but when they get to that age, when they're 30, when they're 40, when those other sports you can't really go play basketball anymore, but you can play golf. That's kind of where we need to get back to.
Well, and as I was saying before you came on the air, I was telling the audience, and they've heard me say this many times before. I mean, I started playing golf. I was exposed very young to the sport by my father, who was a big golfer, and played for many years, and still play. And of course, I teach as well now too. But not everybody has had that opportunity, and especially this day and age. And I think one of the things too is time is a big factor. It's not just the cost and expense, but also having the time available to get out. I mean, I'm sure if you were adding up the nickels, you've heard this one as well too. In between lessons, how much practice time do the students get out there? And it's not very much. They're involved in other things, other activities right now. So as you said, golf is kind of on the back burner. And I, what I'm thinking about is, schools have, been notorious over the years of doing different day trips and things like that. And I think one thing that maybe some of the courses could look into is maybe saying to the schools, okay, look, here's a cheap trip. Get your bus load of kids to come out here once a week or something. And obviously you can't get the whole school out at one time, but you can sort of work out a schedule, and there's enough courses in the areas here in the Southeast. And get these youngsters exposed, get them out there, get them on the range, and get them even out in the course on certain times of the year when it's not as busy, but just get them exposed to the game. And I think you'll find more and more of them will be interested in picking it up on a longer term basis. Yeah,
definitely. I think I'm just sitting here talking about it and thinking about it. I think we're going to try to add something like that maybe in the upcoming. It's just, you're right, it needs to happen.
Well, and I think if the schools are approached in that manner, I'm all about the same as you and any other person in the golf profession. I'm about growing the game, and I think the only way you can grow the game is for years it was always people would sort of flock to us, but now it's a whole different game. Now we have to be a little more aggressive and go out and get the people to participate. because people's time is very valuable. And, we're competing with so many other different mediums out there and other sporting events and things like that. So, for us just assume that people, because they're driving past your facility, are going to come in and play golf or come in and take some lessons, I think in this day and age, I think is naive of us as golf professionals. So I think we have to be creative and inventive. And I think one way to do that is to, get the youngsters at an early age and get them come out and maybe hold some clinics or like almost like a day camp of that type of an idea, and send an invitation out and say, okay, send 30 students over, different students each week to this golf clinic, and it's $5, $10, or whatever the fee is, and we'll include a little snack, and get them out there and talk to them a little bit about golf, and get them out there and just enjoying the day, the hour or so, whatever it is it happens to be. And I think if we do that, do you know what I'm saying? And I think this is something that we have to be a little more aggressive with. But you're running a program now, and of course, what you're doing is you're competing with some of the other courses in the areas, and I think that's a great thing. What are some of the other things that you're doing at Perdido that the listeners might be that are planning on taking trips, vacations here to the Southeast that might be interested in?
Okay, we do. We definitely try to keep things fun and interesting for the casual golfer and for the good golfer. We've got every Monday we have a twilight golf rate every day after 1 o'clock. We drop our rates from $59 to $39, and on Mondays we just say any time on Monday you can play for our twilight fee. And then let's see, Tuesday we have a great program that's been really popular. We call it 2 for Tuesday.
Right.
Basically, we do 2-for-1 golf, and the restaurant there, the Legends Bar and Grill, they do 2-for-1 drinks all day. That's all day on Tuesday, so that's been popular. So we kind of themed it, keep your weekend going, because we have the people out here for the weekend, and then we discount it on Monday, give some free drinks away on Tuesday. So we kind of think of it as a 4-day weekend every week.
Right. Well, and the really great thing, and this and I know this, living down here in the South. You virtually have golf 365 days a year if you want it. I mean, obviously you get a little bad weather thrown in here once in a while, but we get the benefit, unlike some of our northern counterparts. We get the benefit of really playing golf all year round. So those that are coming down in the winter months, some of the snowbirds that are coming down, Perdido Bay, of course, is a great course, and you want to make sure that you check them out and visit them and get out there and play and enjoy some of the many great offers that Dan had just talked about. Dan, let me also ask you as well, and I'm pretty sure you offer this, but if somebody wanted to bring their corporate or charity event to Perdido, can you facilitate some large events like that as well?
Oh, yeah, definitely, for sure. We've got the great thing about corporate events or even tournaments is that we have on-site lodging. We've got the cottages on the green right up right to the left of the first fairway. We can house 144 players, and we do corporate outings on the weekends. We even do some military events. They come out here and play golf. But we do. We just need advance notice, and we'll put everything together for you. We get the carts, the range balls. We play music for everybody. Sometimes we do food if they like it, but we can really pretty much make it an all-inclusive day if that's what you're looking for.
Fantastic. Any final words that you would like to say to the listeners and let them know about this great course? It's a
little ways off the beaten path from Gulf Shores or Pensacola Beach, but we're on the west side of Pensacola, and definitely if you're in our area, check it out. It's a great golf course. Used to be on the PGA Tour, and we're always trying to keep it interesting, running different leagues and fun games. And Ted, I just wanted to leave you with, we were talking about junior golf, and I don't know if you've seen it or heard about it, but this Foot Golf, this new program that they've come up with in the Northwest, where it's kind of a cross between soccer and golf.
Oh, really? No, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, you look it up. It's pretty cool. The golf courses, they're cutting big holes in their fairways, and they are using a number 5 soccer ball, which is a little smaller than normal. but all the rules
Right.
are the same as golf, and you can't use your hands, you kick it. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to cross, soccer's been so popular, they're trying to cross soccer with golf, and it's actually, there's a few courses up in Indiana that are actually putting courses in permanently. So, I mean, YouTube, it is pretty cool. It's a very creative idea, and it's one of those things that I think could help golf.
Right, and that's the thing, and that's really what I'm getting at is I think that the industry itself has to sort of take the lead here and not just assume. I think for a good many years, I think the industry has sort of, and I hate to say this, but rested on its laurels because golf was, has obviously been a popular sport, and particularly in the last decade or so with people like Tiger and some of the other young guys that came on the tour that sort of rejuvenated it. A little bit, certainly became very exciting, a lot of people coming out there. But again, economic times change and people start tightening their belt. And unfortunately, unlike a lot of other sports, golf is a little bit more expensive. It's harder to be able to play for some. And we need to find, between the PGA and some of the other governing bodies, need to find ways of making it more accessible for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
They're running a lot of great programs right now, and that's why I say I think approaching the schools now, and I know that there are some programs out there right now, but I think a more aggressive approach is what's going to be needed here, because I think we're going to find that as the generations age, some of these older retired ones eventually are going to be gone, and this has happened now in the private sector in golf, where a lot of the memberships have gone down because they've either passed on or they've given up or sold their memberships because they just don't have the time or just don't want to anymore. And, those memberships are not being replaced like they once were. So, golf has to be a little more aggressive and a little more forward-thinking and getting out there and attracting new, prospective customers, if you were, clients and people to the golf business in general. So I'm glad, Dan, I want to thank you for coming on Golf Talk Live. And just for those that want to learn more about Perdido Bay, you can visit the website at www.perditobaygolf.com, or you can pick up a copy of South Coast Golf Guide you have them at the course there, I know, but also at some of the other locations across the southeast here. You can pick up a copy and check them out in there. And Dan, I want to thank you for coming on, and I'm going to have to get you to come in. I'm not sure if Jonathan mentioned this to you or not, but I run a segment on the show called Coach's Corner, and where we have a panel discussion with some of the other PGA and teacher professionals from across the United States come on the program every week. And this week we omitted it, but I'd love for you to participate when you can, and I'll send you a schedule of some of the upcoming dates. And if you're available, I'd love for you to join in. Yeah,
that'd be great. Thank you very much for having me, and it was a pleasure.
Not a problem. I appreciate you taking out some time, and I know you've had a busy day out in the sweltering heat here in the southeast and part of the United States, so go home and relax. And Dan, anytime. And I said to you the other day when I reached out to you, yesterday I guess it was, that I want to get together with you. So I might, Jonathan and I might take a trip out to your course there in the next few weeks and get together with some things I want to talk about with you and run past you. So we'll get together and grab a bite to eat and talk a little bit more golf. But in the meantime, again, Dan, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing a little bit about the course and a little bit about golf in general.
You got it. Thank you very much, and you're always welcome.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks, Dan, and have a great evening. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, that was my guest, Dan Swamley, head teacher professional out at Perdido Bay Golf Club out in Pensacola, on the western side of Pensacola, just over by Gulf Shores, as he said. And Dan's got some great things happening out there, and you want to make sure you check them out. And there's really two great ways. You can either go directly to the website, PerdidoBayGolf.com, and if you're interested in maybe some lessons or you want to learn more about the junior program, if you've got a youngster out there that you want to get involved in golf, by all means, you can certainly check them out and find out how you can sign up your youngster and participate. But also, if you're interested in maybe wanting to tune up your game, you can certainly visit Dan at Perdido Bay Golf, and I'm sure he'll be more than happy to help you work out some of the kinks and bugs in your game. And just a great course. I haven't had the honors or pleasure of playing it yet myself, but I'm going to get out there soon and play around and check it out. But it looks like a great course, And Dan certainly is a great professional here to have on the program, so I appreciate him spending some time. And forgive me here for a second, but I think I have to sneeze. Maybe not. As I said, I've been out in the heat myself, so forgive me. But anyways, PerditoBayGolf.com. You can check it out there, or you can visit any of the courses or a lot of the big condos here in Florida and also in Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. You can also visit a lot of the larger condos there and tourist information areas. A lot of them will have a copy of the South Coast Golf Guide there. But if not, you can certainly get in touch with Jonathan Laird, who is the owner and publisher of South Coast Golf Guide, and get your hot little hands on a copy. And you can do that by visiting his website at www.southcoastgolfguide.com, and you can check that out there. And through there, you can send a request. I believe Jonathan's email is on there as well, jonathan@southcoastgolfguide.com. And just tell him you'd love to get your hot little hands on a copy there, and you'll be able to get the information on how you can connect with great golf courses like Perdido Bay and some of the many others out in the southeastern part of the United States. And I can't emphasize enough, there is just so many great courses throughout the southeastern part of the United States, and because we can play here all year round, you'll never run out of a course to play. But you can come down here in the fall, you can come down here in the winter months, or you can come down here and sweat it out with the rest of us down here in the summer months if you've got some vacation time and you're looking for some great courses. Perdido Bay, of course, is one of them down here in the southeastern part of the United States, and you can get a copy of Jonathan's South Coast Golf Guide and leaf through and check out some of the other great courses in the area, as well as Perdido Bay, And you can actually, has all the information there. If you want to book tee times, you can contact the pro shop directly, all the information there, or visit their website first if you want to check them out, and get out there and play some golf. It's a great game. I love playing it for many, many years, and will continue to play it well into my golden years, as they say, and those years are coming pretty quick, let me tell you. But as I said, I want to thank Dan Swamley for coming on and spending a few moments with me here and just talking about his facility there out in Pensacola. And just a little bit here, I'm going to be joined by Stephen McMillen, and he's also another professional, and he also is the author of Murder on the Front Nine. And it's a great book, and as I said, from what I've read so far, I unfortunately haven't had a chance to read it all the way through, but I've read a good portion of it, and I'm getting towards the end here. But let me just read a little bit about, this is on the back of his book, and it just kind of intrigued me here. I always like a good mystery. I'm not usually a big, or haven't always been a big book reader unless it's a mystery, but let me just tell you a little bit about the book. If you enjoy a good mystery, adventure, and a travel story, Steve McMillen's first novel, Murder on the Front Nine, set in the Myrtle Beach area of South Carolina, offers both. It's a wild ride with a soon-to-be crime-solving realtor, architect, golf pro, who also just happens to be an ex-Green Beret. It is a tale of assassinations, black ops, corrupt politicians, Lord, we know that, big oil, the Colombian cocaine cartel, and a treasure hunt with a twist off the South Carolina coast. You can read Steve's book on two levels. Simply as a good mystery, whodunit yarn in a southern beach setting, which is how the majority of the readers will perceive it. Also, the other level is with the locals and visitors' delight in recognizing familiar resorts, restaurants, golf courses, and other local features. Many a reader will be able to say, been there, done that. The tale begins on Bald Head Island, North Carolina, a remote upscale golf resort island along the Cape Fear River and the Atlantic Ocean. Mickey D, of course, is the main character, allows himself to be drawn into an assassination investigation by three of his old Army buddies who has not been seen, he hasn't seen in 15 years. Bodies begin piling up, planes are blown up, buildings are burned down, and Mickey D discovers that maybe one of his old Army buddies may not be as much of a friend as he once thought. The story meanders down the coast to Little River, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and makes a stop during the playing of the World Amateur Golf Tournament in Myrtle Beach. Make side trips to Charleston, South Carolina, and of course right here in Panama City Beach, Florida, Las Vegas, and Washington, D.C., hence the corrupt politicians. There are plots within plots, and the reader will have to figure out the bad guys from the good guys, who they like and who they dislike. And will Mickey D be able to make a transition from a rather mundane way of life at the beach back to investigator and highly trained soldier without meeting his demise along the way? If you enjoy golf, the beach, or just a good mystery, this book is for you. It's entertaining, easy, fun read. You'll just want to continue turning the pages, and it is definitely a great read. And Stephen's going to come on here in just a few minutes, as I said, pardon me, and he's going to share a little bit about the book. We're not going to give it all away, of course, because we want you to get a copy and read it for yourself, but he's going to give us a little bit of background on himself and talk a little bit about the book and how it came about and some of the characters on there, if they're maybe a little more true to life than what the book leads on to believe. And also he has a follow-up book. Don't want to give away too much, but he's going to talk a little bit about that as well and when that's going to be available. So he'll be joining us here in a few minutes. I want to just talk and remind everybody, just give me a second here. Excuse me, as I said, I've been a little dry. Even though it's been humid out here, it's been a little bit dry tonight, and my throat's getting a little dry here, so forgive me while I take a swallow of water. I just want to remind everybody, of course, that the show airs live every Thursday evening here on blogtalkradio.com, and you can really get it one of two ways. You can either go to blogtalkradio.com and go up into the search key and type in Golf Talk Live, or you can just add a / and type in Golf Talk Live, and that'll take you directly to the link for the show. And, of course, as I said, on Thursday evenings, it's live broadcast over the Internet, and you can pick it up really with any mobile device, whether it be an iPhone, iPad, or if you're in an office or something, you can just click it on your computer, and you can listen to it live, and you can call into the program as well if you want at area code 646-716-4667. You can call in, as I said, during the live broadcast, which is 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time. That's 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can call into the program live and either speak to myself or any of my guests if you want to ask some questions. Always happy to do that. And if you're a little shy and don't want to call in, as some of the listeners don't want to, you can certainly email me at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com if you're interested in coming on the program, if you're in the golf business, whether you be a golf professional or just somebody in the business, maybe you're in the equipment end of it, what have you, or maybe you're more of a fitness guru that has some great tips or training that will help the golfers out there. Would love to hear from you. So you can email me, as I said, at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. Also, to get updates for the show on social media, you can do so by following me on Facebook at facebook.com/Golf Talk Live blog. Make sure you have the blog on the end there so it takes directly to the page. And while you're there, make sure that you like the program on there. And you can get an update as to who's going to be on the show that evening on that particular week, and also the time and so forth. Just a reminder, and you can just click on the link right from Facebook while you're chatting with your friends through Facebook. You can just click on the link, and it'll take you right to the Blog Talk Radio section, and you can listen to the broadcast live. And I've had some. What's really great about this is, as I said, being an online program, you can pick it up anywhere in the world. So if you're on vacation somewhere, maybe you're overseas, just flash up your computer or your iPhone, and you can simply click on the link, and you can tune into the program at any point. And also, if you're not able to tune in during the live broadcast, not a problem. If you go to blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live, anytime other than the live performance, you can scroll down, and there's an on-demand section at Golf Talk Live. And what you can do is you can go down and you can listen to all of the previously aired live broadcasts. They are all auto-recorded. So if you're not able to listen during the live broadcast, i.e. maybe you're working or you've got something else going on there, then you can certainly just tune in at your leisure at any other time on the weekend or evening. But anyways, you can do that and scroll through the on-demand section. There's some great shows. Interviewed, of course, the legendary Billy Casper last November. It was a great honor to have him on my program. He was on actually for the full 2-hour program. Enjoyed having him on. Shared a little bit about his book, The Big Three and Me, of course, talking about Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, and Lee Trevino. Gary Player, I believe, was the other one. Sorry. Gary Player, Arnold Palmer, and Jack Nicklaus, and talked about his dealings with them over the years and his competitive juices going, and just a really great guy. So you want to make sure, if you didn't get a chance to hear that, go back and interviewed the legendary Billy Casper, who has won a multitude of tournaments, including several majors, and just a great gentleman, great ambassador of the game, and very humble man as well. And I think that was one of the things that really struck me most about him is, when you get to that sort of level, you expect maybe sometimes not to be as humble as Billy Casper was, and he was just certainly a great gentleman, and to have him in the program, and I hope to have him back perhaps before the year ends here. If not, I will do my best to get him back on next year, but I'd like to get him on this year here. And of course, don't forget, every week, or most weeks anyways, we try to have a coach's corner panel. As I said, this week we took another little break from the panel discussion, excuse me, just to give some of the coaches a break. They're busy, of course, as we all are, trying to get out there and help you weekend warriors get a little bit better in your game. And let me just do this. A couple things I want to very quickly talk about here while I'm waiting for Stephen to call into the program. I can't emphasize enough, I've talked about this on the show before and on the panel discussions, pardon me, but, and I talked about a little bit before Dan came on, the number one thing really to become a better player is this. You have to be willing to put in the time to practice. And I know that a lot of you are out there saying, well, I don't really have a lot of time. You probably have more time than you realize. The key to it is, you need to practice with purpose. If you're going to go out and you're going to spend time at the range, have a game plan. And if you're not sure of what to do, then talk to your local teaching professional. Go up to the course, and if you've been taking lessons, get them to help you put a good practice session together. They'll be more than happy to guide you and lead you in that direction. Don't just go up there and pull out your driver and start hitting drives, or just hitting a wedge or two, and then that's the end of it. You need to really practice with purpose. And the reason why I say this, especially for those of you that are maybe working with a teaching professional and you're trying to improve your game, and you've taken some lessons, it's even more important then, because if you're not going to practice what that instructor has put forth and spent the time and effort into helping you learn and understand, then you're not going to become a better player. It's as simple as that. And so that's one of the things that you really need to do, is you need to get out there and practice. And it's a really very simple thing. What I try to do, just to give you an example, what I do when I do get a chance to go out, is I try to break up my time. If I'm only going, once or twice a week, let's say, or even let's say if I was only going once a week, and I was able to spend an hour, 10 minutes of this, 5 minutes of that is probably not going to help. So what I try to do is, if I'm limited with time, I try to take an area of my game. Let's say I'm going to commit to one practice session a week. What I would rather do, in my opinion, rather than 5 or 10 minutes of this and 5 or 10 minutes of that, is not going to be sufficient to really ingrain some good technique. So here's what I would suggest you do. Over the course of months, on most months, of course, we have 4 weeks. A few months of the year, of course, we have 5. But let's take it on average of 4 weeks. I would take a component of your game, let's say your short game, particularly your wedges and that sort of thing, and I would spend, if you've got an hour or 45 minutes to spend, and I would focus on hitting some good pitch shots, maybe some chip shots, or whatever you want to do, and I would spend that time doing that, putting a game plan together and say, okay, I'm going to spend the 45 minutes today working on nothing but my short game. And then maybe the next time when I go back up to the range, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm going to work on making on contact with my irons, worrying about setting up a target and things like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on making good, crisp contact, and I'm going to work on my fundamentals. Then maybe the next time I'm going to go out there, I'm going to play a little target golf. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend I'm playing an imaginary round on my home course or a favorite course, or any course really. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on maybe one end or the other of the range, and I'm going to visualize the first hole at my course. And I'm going to say, okay, there's the flag, 350 yards, let's say, down the fairway. I've got maybe a bunker or so, and I'm going to visualize the hole. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, what club am I going to hit off the tee here? Am I a good driver of the ball? Am I going to, is it the hole that I can hit my driver comfortably and know that I'm going to get in good position, or do I need to select another club? So in other words, you're going to play that hole. Now, obviously, you're not going to walk out into the driving range or out of the practice area, but what you do is you visualize each of the shots. So let's say, again, we'll take this hole 350 yards. Let's say, to keep it simple, it's a fairly straight hole without a lot of trouble out in the fairway. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to visualize that hole. I'm going to visualize the tee shot and execute the shot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine a couple of different scenarios. Don't just assume that you've hit a perfect shot. Let's assume you've hit a good shot. Let's assume you've hit a not-so-good shot. And now I'm going to take another scenario or two, and I'm going to say start with the good shot and assume that I've hit it out in the fairway. And now I'm going to assume that I've got, let's say, 150 yards left to my target. And now I'm going to take out the club that I know I'm going to hit and execute that 150-yard shot, and I'm going to pick a target out in line, and I'm going to aim for that, and I'm going to execute my approach shot. Let's say, for instance, I fall a little bit short, then I'm going to, work on the chipping and pitching and that sort of thing. So I want to visualize from start to finish how I'm going to play that first hole. And a little bit later, when I move to the putting green, of course, I can practice on the putting. And what I would do is maybe the fourth week, I would work on my putting and or maybe even chipping. And again, that's part of the short game, I realize. But the reason why I want you to spend so much time when you're limited with time is if you're only spending 5 or 10 minutes on each of the areas, you're not going to develop enough skill to ingrain good habits. Whereas if you're spending a good solid hour or 45 minutes every week on a specific part of that game, you're more apt to remember what it is you're doing. And you can also, too, if you want, during each of the following weeks, you can take the first 10 minutes or the last 10 minutes, whichever you want to do, and have a refresher from the previous week. So just, re-ingrain some of what you've been doing and do that each week. And then also, what I would suggest for those of you that haven't done this is, and we talked about this recently on a program, is go out to the golf course, go out to the driving range, and work with all of the clubs in your bag and find out how much yardage you're hitting with each of your clubs. What's the yardage? And write that down so that you know how far you're hitting your 4-iron, how long far you're hitting your 5-iron, and so on and so forth. Write down. And same with your wedges on full shots. Then what you want to do is you want to maybe choke down and you want to hit a 3/4 shot with all of your irons. Just to try different scenarios like that, but do it consistently with each club. So starting, let's say, if maybe you've, your first iron is your 4-iron, take your 4-iron right through to, let's say, your 9-iron and hit full shots with them, record the yardages and hit, maybe 4 or 5 with each iron and take your average. And then what you want to do is you want to choke down and maybe hit a 3/4 or punch-type shot with each of your clubs to see how far that's going to go and record that, hit a few with each of your irons. And get some ideas because, the truth of the matter is when you're out on the golf course, you're not going to hit or have every perfect scenario. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to get an idea of how far you're hitting your irons and the different types of shots that you're going to be able to hit on a regular basis comfortably, so that if you have to call for one of those shots, let's say you're under behind some trees and you need to hit below some limbs, you want to be able to hit that low punch shot or a low shot from behind the tree or from under the branches type shot. You want to be able to call that, if you will, and you want to be able to hit that with confidence. And the only way to do that is to get out there and practice. The other thing as well is go with a buddy and make a game out of it. make up. There's a lot of different games that you can do to practice, and I would strongly suggest that you do that because I think that makes it a little bit more fun. I mean, you don't want to get up there and do the same thing every time, so you want to make it challenging and fun for each practice session. But that's something that you need to do, and there's a lot of people out there, they wonder why they're not improving their golf game. Well, that's part of the reason they're not improving it. Number one, certainly get out there and connect with a local professional at your course, or if you know somebody that's taking some lessons and they seem to be pretty happy, talk to them and ask them who they're getting their lessons from, and go and talk to that professional and treat it like an interview and talk to them and find out what it is, how their approach is, and talk to your friend and see how they enjoy or if they're seeing improvement in their game. And if not, then certainly seek out another professional. But get out there and work with somebody on a fairly regular basis, because I think that, if you do that and then you incorporate your practice sessions along with that, you're certainly going to be able to become a better player. And once we do that, the game becomes so much more enjoyable. But I see that my next guest is waiting in the wings here. Let me bring him out here. As I said, it's Stephen McMillen is the author of Murder on the Front Nine, and he's going to be joining me here. So let me just bring him out here, and we'll talk a little golf and a little bit about his book. Stephen, welcome to Golf Talk Live. How are you this evening?
Well, thank you, Ted. I appreciate being on your show.
Not a problem. I'm glad to have you. Stephen, before we get into a little bit about your book, let's let the listeners get a little bit of background on you and how you sort of got involved in the golf business and where you're from and all that good stuff. And let's just talk a little bit about Stephen McMillen.
Well, I thought it was interesting. When I got onto your show, you were talking about practicing and going to your local pro. Yep. I was a golf teaching pro for 10 years back in Ohio, and really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and I was fairly good at it, I think. But we're from Ohio, Lancaster, Ohio, Columbus. We're big Buckeye fans, of course.
Yep.
And, yeah, there's nothing worse than a Buckeye fan. We moved down here to South Carolina. I'm in Little River, South Carolina. We've been down here about 14 years. And we just decided, our parents were gone, and my wife said, well, whoever can get to move to the South first, whoever gets a job, let's go. So one snowy, winter, icy night in Ohio, she came in and she says, do you think you could live in Myrtle Beach? And I'm thinking, well, let's see. There's 100 golf courses there. Yeah, when do we want to leave? And we were on our way. And we've been down here 14 years now, so it's been just gorgeous. Love it down here.
Yeah, I have somewhat of a similar story. Of course, originally being from Canada, I can relate to the snowy and blistery cold days and evenings. So believe you me, I know exactly what you're talking about. And mine was very similar. Of course, I'm a teacher professional, and I used to come down to the Panama City Beach area. My parents, for years, did the snowbird thing and used to come down to this area and decided that I just had enough of shoveling snow and dealing with the cold winters, and I just thought to myself, enough was enough. So I came down here in late '05 and been here ever since, and just love it. I just love the Southeast. It's great. I can handle I can handle the hot, steamy weather much more than I can the cold. I think as I've gotten older, my bones just can't handle it. But so I can certainly understand that. And let me just, before we get into more of a discussion of the book and things like that, the reason why I wanted to take that few minutes, obviously I had a few minutes before you were going to come on, and I really think it's important as professionals that we have to emphasize, everybody thinks, well, okay, I want to come to the professional and, he's going to whip up in a cauldron of magic and I'm going to be, competing on the PGA Tour. It's not going to happen. The bottom line is, if you want to become a better golfer, you've got to get out there and you've got to put some practice time in there. And, this is something that is very difficult this day and age, as I'm sure you're aware of. People just don't have the time like they used to. And so It makes it very, very difficult. it makes it difficult for teaching professionals because they're, giving some great lessons out there. But unfortunately, if, Joe Smith doesn't have time to go out there and work on some of these tips and training, they're not going to see the improvement. And then, of course, it's going to affect, their game, and they're not going to be as inclined to want to go back. So, this is something I like to emphasize. If you really want to improve your game, get out there and practice. And I wanted to give some tips on what I think are, for those that have limited time to sort of get the biggest bang for your buck. But, Stephen, I wanted to, it kind of intrigued me. I like a good mystery, and I got to confess, I have not read the last few chapters, so I don't know how it ends yet. But what I have read so far is very good, and I don't want to give too much away. So I know we've got to be very careful about what we talk about here. But you wrote a book, of course, Murder on the Front Nine. First, what was the inspiration behind the book? Why did you write the book?
Well, to start out with, everybody told me that you should always write a book about something you enjoy, and of course I've enjoyed golf all my life. And the second thing is always write in a genre that you enjoy reading, which to me was a murder mystery. So I incorporated the golf into the murder mystery, and that's how I came up with the idea. So, and back to what you said about skipping back to your teaching thing there a minute.
Yeah.
I used to see golfers, come out to the range day after day after day, and they're practicing the wrong things.
Yeah.
So they're not making themselves any better if they're just making the same mistakes over and over again. So that's why I think it's so important to go see your teaching professional. If you're going to practice doing the correct things, and you'd be surprised how much better you'll get in the end. So
right.
Makes a difference.
I think one of the things, I think one of the things too, as teachers, and this is why I try to incorporate this in mine. It's not just about teaching technique, that sort of thing. It's about actually, really training somebody how to practice properly, practice with purpose.
Exactly.
How to, create a pre-shot routine. It's not just about learning how to, put the club face on the ball and how to get it to go out, 275 yards with your driver or what have you. You have to really give them the whole package. And there's a lot of technology out there, and, God love them. I mean, the technology is great, but as I always say, if the batteries die or the electricity goes out, all of that electronics and technology goes by the wayside. So you have to be a good instructor first and use a lot of these new tools that are out there, and they're all great, don't get me wrong, but you have to use them appropriately. And so everybody's always, I want to know how fast the ball's spinning and this sort of thing. And that's great, but really, all I want to do is I want to get the ball out in the fairway and get it in a position for a good, approach shot. But anyways,
exactly. It's back to teaching. To me, it was always teaching basics.
Right.
If you can teach basics to somebody, of course, I used to love to get people who had never played before, because that way you can start them out the proper way. And their whole golf career is a completely different item then, say, because they've learned, in the very beginning what to do and what not to do. So it makes a difference.
Well,
big difference.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're dealing with somebody that's been playing, for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and they're now coming out to take lessons later in life, now you've got 5, 10, 15, whatever it happens to be, years of bad habits to break.
Exactly.
And it makes it very, very difficult, and not everybody is willing to, start over. And, and that's sometimes what needs to be done. Sometimes it has to happen, depending on what their needs are. I think the biggest thing, and I've said this really from day one on the program, I think the most important thing that a golf instructor needs to do is to be a good listener.
Exactly.
And the reason why I say that because, first off, you have to understand from your students what it is they want. Do they want to reinvent the wheel, or do they just want to go out there and just play a little bit better just so they don't look like a frump, at their corporate event or something like that? So you really have to understand what it is they want. So you have to be a great listener, or at least certainly a good listener, and then you have to not be so inclined to impose your will necessarily on the student. But once you understand what it is they want, then you can sort of tailor something to fit them. And I think most of them do a great job, but I think sometimes we have to, take a step back and remember that we need to listen to the students first and make sure we fully understand what it is that they want, so that we're not, wasting each other's time. But anyways, Stephen, let's go on to the book here just a little bit if we can. Now, obviously, there are a lot of characters in the book. Mickey D, of course, is the primary character. Are the characters in the book, are some, all, or most of them taken from real life? And if so, who? Can you share that with us?
They are real life characters. I mean, every one of them is either a neighbor, a family, or a friend. Every one of them. And some of them were not too happy with their characters.
In other words, you threw a few people on the bus.
Yeah, well, somebody has to die. In the book, somebody has to die. Well, why? And one of my neighbors, matter of fact, you may have read it's Nick in the book, and he was at a airport, and he was the guy at the airport that was checking in the bad guys, and he lasted about 2.5 pages, and he read the manuscript, and he came back and says, "Darn, I didn't last very long, did I?" But I mean, he got a kick out of it. It was
right. It sort of
puts
the whole perspective of just how good of a friend they are. I'm sure that goes through their mind, and they're thinking to themselves, "Well, wait a minute, so and so lasted 15 pages. I'm only lasting 2 pages. Where do I rank in the pecking order of friendships here?"
Exactly. Well, let me tell you a story about something like that.
Sure.
When I got the book finished, I let one of the people from my writers group read the book. And I said, please give me any ideas about what I should change or, what I can make different. And she says, well, in Chapter 1, Mickey D has an overnight guest. And you don't name that young lady. And she says, I think you should, because then you can refer back to her later on in the book somewhere. And she says you need to add a few little things to the book just to make it a little interesting. So I asked my wife, and by this time I had used almost every person's name I had ever thought of in the book. And so I said to my wife, I said, well, now, I had a girlfriend back in the 6th grade named Ann, and her and my wife had been friends since the 1st grade. And I said, well, what was her real name? And she said, well, her real name was Paula Ann. And I said, well, thank you. So I added Paula Ann as Mickey D's overnight guest. The book is completed, and I give it to my wife. And I said, now, honey, read the book and tell me what you think about it. Well, she reads books like she devours oysters. I mean, just overnight, So I say, now, wait a minute, it's been 3 or 4 days, and I haven't heard anything back from you yet. She says, well, I have issues. And I said, well, what do you mean you have issues? She says, well, in Chapter 1, you're sleeping with Paula, with Ann. She's watching you run around in red boxer shorts, and I don't show up until the last paragraph of the last page. Now, what's wrong with this picture? So that got her attention a little bit, but it gets more interesting yet, because after the book comes out, I get an email from Ann, who now lives in California, and she said that she wants a copy of the book. She sends me a check, and she says, and sign the book to your first love. Well, I thought, I can do better than that. I'm going to sign it to my first true love. Now, that in itself was not a problem. The problem was that I gave the book to my wife to mail to Ann. That did not go over real big. But then it got worse. Later, about 3 or 4 weeks later, I get an envelope in the mail. And guess what is in the envelope? 2 pairs of red silk boxer shorts from Ann.
Oh, Lord.
There again, that wasn't too bad, except I showed the package to my wife. But anyway, that's what kind of happens sometimes in your... My wife plays a much more prominent role in my second book.
Yeah,
we'll
get to that.
That would behoove me if that happened, she told me. So, yeah, most of the characters in my book are all my Jimmy Bolin in the book is actually my real neighbor that helps Mickey D all the time. I got cousins, I've got nieces, nephews. The two girls, the two twins are my nieces in the book.
Right.
And Detective Concili was my broker, my real estate broker. So I've got just about everybody in the book I've ever known, I think. So, and and a lot of them say, well, put me in the second book. Well,
yeah, of course.
I try not to use everybody's names. I either use a first name or a last name only. But then I have some people that said they just make me the assassin in the next book. Make me the bad guy. Well, great. Usually I have a hard time finding those people. So, but it's been fun. It's just been a lot of fun writing the book. And I remember that you mentioned Panama City Beach. Right. Part of the book takes place at the Hombre in Panama City Beach.
Yeah. No. Well, up until last year they didn't have it, but it's for many years now. It's hosted the stage 2 of the PGA of Q School.
Oh, yes.
And so it's
beautiful golf
people.
Course.
In fact, Mike Reed from Canada actually came down here when he was qualifying years ago. But last year they had to move it, and I'm trying to think of where. I don't recall where they had to move it temporarily. I think it's coming back this November. It's in, of course, November, stage level 2.
Right.
But they moved it. Yeah, they moved it last year because they'd had so much rain and flooding the previous year.
Oh my goodness!
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, with the damage. Oh yeah, I mean half of the Hombre was underwater. So
not
during
my
the
goodness,
time, but yeah, they had a lot of repairs to make, and it just wasn't going to be in the shape they wanted it. So, but it's fine now. But so they had to move it last year. But I don't recall, to be honest, off the top of my head, where they moved it temporarily, but it's supposed to be. I believe it's coming back this year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I see the young and up and comers all the time when I drive by, walking the course, and it's tough. Let me tell you, it's part of
beautiful,
it where
tough golf course.
Oh yeah, I do a segment periodically on the show called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and of course that's the 3 nines at the Hombre. I take it a combination from there, and also of course from Clint Eastwood.
Right.
And let me tell you that the good is good. It's very forgiving, but the bad and the ugly certainly speak for itself. Very, very.
Oh yes.
Very. Yeah. If you've ever, of course, played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of water throughout the first course and that, and very narrow fairways and so forth. But just a great test of golf, and one of many courses down here. So obviously, you've got that in there as well, and you really kind of
that's why I put that in there.
Yeah, the thing that's really interesting too is that as you put it here, I read out earlier before you came on the back page of your book. And you mentioned here about sort of meandering down the coast from Little River, South Carolina, and then right through. And of course, you mentioned Panama City Beach and so forth. And it goes, Vegas and Washington D.C. You really have a whole cast of characters. I mean, you've got everybody from, as you say, an ex-Green Beret to a golf pro, big oil, the Colombian cocaine cartels, and some crooked
politicians. Got a few
corrupt
politicians in there too.
Yeah. And it's just, what? Yeah, don't even get me started. This is a golf show, remember? But anyway, it's not politically correct. That show's been done.
There you go.
But what makes it interesting? There's a lot of certainly a lot of great golf books out there that have been written and instruction, things like that. But I enjoy a book like this because it kind of it keeps the golfer interested because there's golf in there, but then it throws a twist. And I could really see, a great story like this being made into even, say, an off-Broadway play.
I like the way you think.
because it's because of the story content. And again, I don't want to give it away because I want people to go out and get a copy of the book and read that. But
sure,
this type of story is something that, because there is so much twists and turns and so much mystery really to it, I could see that being very interesting. At the very least, even in a dinner theater environment. Because I've seen a lot of stuff like this done. I think it's great.
Mystery,
so I don't know if that's
the mystery theaters.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, I used to go to them all the time when I was back home, and I'm trying to find a good one down here to go to. But when as I was reading through the book, I got thinking to myself, the wheels were turning. I thought, Stephen, if you're not already got this in the works, you need to think about maybe doing something like that, because I think it would be very interesting. So, just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah. And some other thing is, maybe some of your listeners have played in the World Am, which takes place in Myrtle Beach every year, which is in the book.
Uh-huh.
The World Amateur. And
and that's actually... Yeah, that's actually coming up. What is it, August?
Yeah, August. Yes, it's coming up in August, yes. And there are people, there's probably 5,000.
At Myrtle Beach. That's the one. When is that? When is the main...
I think it's in the second week of August. And there'll be over 5,000 golfers here from all over. There's 50 states and probably 20 different countries that have golfers here for this. And it's the amateur golfer's chance to play in a professional tournament, because they play all 4 days. And at the end of the 4 days, they take the winners from each one of the different flights, and then they play off at the end for the championship. And it's all done on a handicap basis. And they use 70 different golf courses down here to play that on. And it's quite a thing. It's quite a deal.
Yeah, I know it's.
And I was.
Yeah, I remember
I
remember when they were first. Yeah, I remember when they were first starting it, and really advertising that, and I know it's grown over time. But yeah, it is a really a great event, and I haven't had a chance to to go out there and witness any of it, but I that's something I definitely want to do. Actually, I might even try and do it this year if I can, because I know it's a great it's just a great opportunity to let the average golfer, as you say, out there just experience what it's like, a little bit of what it's like to be out on tour.
Oh yeah. Now the other thing is, you ought to think about maybe doing your show from there. They have the 19th hole every night after the tournament. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's some things that I'm actually working on right now, just going to different venues and things like that. But if there's one thing that you want, Stephen, people to take away from this book, I'm sure there's multiple things, but what are some of the things that you really want them to take away? Obviously, you want them to enjoy the read, which I know they will. But what do you want them to take away from reading the book?
Well, I had a couple people ask me that, and I said, the main thing that I want you to take away from the book is the fact that you were entertained. I mean, that to me is the ultimate reading experience, is that you read the book and you were entertained. I got an email from a guy today who had bought my book, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's just great. He says, I started reading the book and I couldn't put it down. And, he was entertained.
Yeah.
It may not have been a soul-searching book, but he was entertained. And to me, that's the ultimate in a book read, is you entertain somebody. They enjoyed it,
Yeah, exactly. And that's, why I enjoy reading books like this. I've always liked mystery novels, growing up as a kid, and obviously having a passion for golf, that just, you couldn't ask for a better marriage, mystery novel and a golf, all wrapped into one. So, and it's true. And now, what also really, kind of intrigued me a little bit was the title, Murder on the Front Nine. Now, I could understand Murder on the Back Nine of a tournament, but Murder on the Front Nine, how'd you come up with the title?
Well, originally the title was Murder on the Back Nine. But I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, if I wait till the back nine to have the murder take place, there are going to be too many people on the golf course, and there's going to be too much of a chance for the assassin to be spotted. So that's why I moved it up to murder on the front nine to get it done before there's anybody on the golf course. Does that make sense?
Right, exactly. That was good thinking. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I asked that because it's an intriguing, it's an intriguing title, and I was thinking about that. And I was wondering, how did he come up with the name? I mean, obviously you have to come up with a name for any book that you write, but I was wondering what was the agenda, if you will, for coming up with that name. And it's very, very interesting. The cover on the book as well, I like, with the sun setting in the background and the flag, of course, and the palm trees. Is that a local course, the shot?
No, that came from the publisher. The publisher put that out, and I thought they did just a wonderful, wonderful job with the cover. I was really impressed with it.
You weren't out on the back nines. Yeah,
that was what?
Yeah, I like it. It's a great image in that.
Yeah.
Now you also have
and
that. Yeah, that was
say,
a great,
if you ever
great cover as well.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that the book begins on Bald Head Island, and I don't know if anybody knows where Bald Head Island is, but it's a barrier island off of Southport, North Carolina. And the only way you get there is by ferry. Mm-hmm. And when you get on the island, there's no cars there. Everything is done on a golf cart. And the golf course is just a beautiful links-type golf course. And if anybody is ever up that way, they should definitely try. And it's public. You can play. You should definitely go over there and try to play the course. Very nice golf course.
Well, yeah, there's so many great courses out in the Myrtle Beach and South Carolina and North Carolina area. And I actually haven't been out that way in a little while, so I'll have to make a trip up there. Stephen, you also have a follow-up book. What's it called, and when will it be available?
Well, the sequel to this first book is called Cougars at the Beach. Now, of course, I know you know what a cougar is, right?
You've got coming out. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, for those of your listeners that don't know, a cougar is a woman at least 80 years old, at least 40 years old, that dates a man at least 8 years younger than she is. That's referred to as a cougar.
Right.
So the second book is I have the same characters. Mickey D, of course, is a private investigator, and he gets pulled into an investigation by one of his real estate friends one of her girlfriends is missing, and the police won't do anything about it, and she thinks there's something more to it than just a missing person. So Mickey D goes out and tries to find out if she really is a missing person. And what happens is that he ends up finding out that there's a serial killer involved, and the serial killer ends up hunting him. So it's kind of and I have some golf in the second one too. There's several golf courses in the second book also. So, but it's going to be a 3-series book. There'll be one more book after this if I can get myself to do it. But it's a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun with it. So, but it should be out probably about the 1st of July, and it has a really neat cover on it too. So I think you'll enjoy the cover. I'll get you a copy as soon as it comes out. But it's called Cougars at the Beach.
Well, wow. Well, I'm looking forward to reading that and enjoying that as well. And if it's even half as good, for an entirely different reason, of course, we won't go there. But excuse me. But anyways, yeah, I would love to have a copy of that as well. So I'll resend you my information, Stephen. You can send that one out as well. Now, obviously, if the listeners want to get a copy of Murder on the Front Nine, how can they get their hot little hands on one?
Well, they can go to Amazon.com. They can get it there. They can get it on. It's also available as an ebook on Kindle, or they can email me at smcmillan@sc.rr.com, and I will be happy to mail them a copy, a signed copy.
Wow. Very, don't get that too often, do you?
They'll be more than happy to. Matter of fact, I'll even pay for the mailing. And you don't get that often either.
You definitely don't get that very often these days. So no, exactly.
Yeah.
So is there a third book in the works, do you think? Oh, wow.
Well, the third book, as a matter of fact, I've started
on
on
that one,
it.
or is that one?
Well, it's actually going to be it'll be the third in the series, and right now the title of it is Death on Mount Pleasant. And part of it will take place back in Ohio, and I'm going to take in the fact I'm going to get in some golf courses back in Ohio, and then the other half of the book will end up down in the Myrtle Beach area, of course. So if we can get it done. It's writing a book is not an easy project. It takes a lot of work. It really does. So I don't get to play golf anymore because all I do is write, it seems like.
Yeah,
that's no
tends
fun.
to happen with the teaching side of it as well.
Oh, yes,
on the teaching
really.
side as well, you end up getting so busy with lessons and so forth, and most of the instructors out there will tell you they don't play as much golf anymore. But anyways, but Stephen, listen, I want to thank you for coming on the program tonight. I appreciate you sharing a little bit about the book, and I know we can't give out too much information because we want people to read that, but what I'm going to do is I've got the information here, and I'm going to get that up on my website as well, and make sure that the readers and the followers of the program can get the backlink, if you will, and get themselves a copy of this, because it truly is a great book. And when the next book gets released out in July, send me a copy, and we'll touch base again, and I'll have you come on a little bit later and come on and talk a little bit more on that one. I don't want to, as I said, I don't want to give away too much of the first book, so we'll let the first book get out there for a little bit. When the second book comes out, by that time, we can maybe talk a little bit more about Murder on the Front Nine as well, and maybe we can give a little bit of the tidbits away. But Stephen, I want to thank you for coming on the program. I certainly appreciate you sharing it with the listeners, and you're welcome to come back anytime, and I hope you get out and enjoy some golf and keep writing these great books.
Well, I hope you get a chance to come to Myrtle Beach to the World Am, and you let me know, and we'll go out and play some golf. We'll play on one of these courses that are in the book.
That sounds good. I would certainly love that.
Ted, I appreciate it very much. Enjoyed it.
You don't have to twist my... Not a problem. You don't have to twist my arm very much to get me to come out and play, especially this day and age. But, Stephen, thank you very, very much. My special guest, Stephen McMillan, author of Murder on the Front Nine. And I will, as I close out the program here in a few moments, I will let everybody know how they can get their hot little hands on a copy. Stephen, thank you very much, and I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your book and what you've been doing.
Thank you, Ted. I appreciate it.
All right. You have a great evening, Stephen, and thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. That was my very special guest, Stephen McMillan, author of Murder on the Front Nine. And if you visit Stephen's website at www.stephenmcmillan, and that's spelled McMillen.com, you can certainly find out more information, read a little bit about the book. And it is really a great read. I'm going to finish it off this weekend. As I said, I've had so much going on here, I haven't had a chance to read it through its entirety. And I didn't want to give away too much on there, but just wanted to give Stephen an opportunity to come on the program and just to share a little bit about how it came about and where it takes place. And I think he did that great. And also I'm looking forward to his next this follow-up, if you will, Cougars at the Beach, which is going to be coming, I believe he said, available July 1st. So I'll let you know when that comes out as well. And we'll get Stephen back on the program to talk a little bit about that book as well. And certainly excited that he's going to be coming out with a third book in a little while as well. So keep going, Stephen. We appreciate it. And thank you, as always, to all the listeners around the world for tuning in faithfully to Golf Talk Live each week. Certainly enjoyed. I want to thank My guest tonight, Dan Swamley, the head professional at Perdido Bay Golf Club out in Pensacola, Florida. I want to thank Dan for coming on and sharing a little bit about the course and a little bit about the junior program. And if you want more information on Perdido Bay Golf, you can visit the site at www.perdidobaygolf.com. And if you want to also, you can get a copy of the South Coast Golf Guide at southcoastgolfguide.com, or you can visit if you're out playing some golf at Perdido Bay or some of the other great courses here in the Southeast United States. You can stop by those courses and get a copy of the South Coast Golf Guide. In fact, Panama City Beach here, if you're in the Panama City Beach area, you can visit the Ombre and some of the other great courses here, and they all have a copy of the guide there. And you can see some of the great courses that you can play here in the Southeast. A lot of great ones out there. We're going to get more of them on the program as the weeks go on. Every third Thursday of the month, I'm going to feature different courses, I said, out of the guide. So again, Jonathan, thank you for connecting Dan and I to come on the program, and looking forward to some other great guests having come on. So perdidobaygolf.com if you want to learn more about the course. Dan is more than happy to help you with some lessons or get your junior involved in maybe some of the great programs they're running out at Perdido Bay Golf. And also Jonathan Laird at southcoastgolfguide.com. If you want to know more about the guide or get your hot little hands on a copy, you can get in touch with Jonathan at southcoastgolfguide.com. And lastly, let me just thank again Stephen McMillen, golf professional and author of Murder on the Front Nine, and you can find out more about that at his website at www.stephenmcmillan.com. And it's available now, of course, at Amazon.com, and also there's a Kindle version as well, he said, that you can get a copy of for those of you that like a more electronic approach to things. So, Stephen, thank you for coming on here. Thanks to both of my guests for being on tonight. What a great opportunity to get to talk to people both in the golf business and those that are writing about the golf business and so on. Appreciate all of their thoughtfulness and input into the program, and appreciate them coming on here. Got some great coaches and teach professionals each and every week, authors and entrepreneurs that stop by the program, and it's through their participation and guest appearances that have helped to make Golf Talk Live a first-class show. I want to give a special thanks, of course, to some of the sponsors and supporters of the program. Again, Mr. Jonathan Laird of South Coast Golf Guide, Ms. Meredith Kirk Golf, and Endless Golf Myrtle Beach Magazine. And she's also the Mrs. South Carolina of 2014. She's going to be making a run for the Mrs. USA pageant, I believe, coming up in August of this year. So good luck, Meredith, on that. Thank you for your continued support of the program. And also a couple of mates from down under, Nikki and Tiffany Litherland, for all of their great support of the program and spreading the word. And Tiffany, of course, is expecting, I believe it's their third child, coming up here a little bit later in the year. So congratulations to both of them. And, of course, Mr. Bernie Pinder of Ontic Golf. Great man, and I am, of course, the proud owner of one of the Ontic Golf putters, custom putters that Bernie made for me. Certainly has helped my game, and you need to go out there and find a little bit more about that. So visit onticgolf.com and get yourself one of Bernie's custom designed putters. And Mr. Peter Doyle, of Doyle Golf Solutions over in Ireland, who is a good and faithful supporter of the program as well. Thank you for tuning in every week, Peter, and thanks for all your great comments and words. And don't forget, just to remind those of you, every week on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm joined by the lovely LPGA professional Cindy Miller at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on blogtalkradio.com. The Women of Golf. We're going to talk a little bit about the ladies and help their games, of course, out there. We don't want to let them forget. So make sure you join us. And as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the broadcast, we ran into some technical difficulties last week. We had to cut the program off actually before we started. So we're going to be airing that program this Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And it's going to be the part 6 of Own Your Game that Cindy Miller is going to be bringing. So make sure you tune in next Tuesday. And, of course, next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'll be right back here on Golf Talk Live. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I will see you back here next week. Thank you, and God bless.